The film begins with a story that took place in the United States at the end of the 20th century. We are shown two pilots flying a passenger airplane. One of them falls asleep, and the other disengages the autopilot and increases the flight speed. The plane enters a zone of turbulence and immediately begins to shake violently. Passengers on board panic, but the pilot calms them and soon makes a successful landing at an airport. The pilot returns home and falls asleep immediately after a long, hard flight. His wife Lucy had prepared for his arrival and put on a sexy outfit, but she was very upset when her husband fell asleep quickly. He constantly flies from one city to another and is very tired. The job pays well, but it is exhausting. In the evening, our protagonist goes to the bar at the local airport and orders a drink. At that moment, an unknown man approaches him and calls his name, Barry Sill. Yes, that is the name of our pilot. The stranger claims he is from the CIA and knows everything about Barry's illegal business. It turns out that on Thursdays, our pilot meets with Cuban immigrants and illegally brings their goods into Canada and the United States. The man introduces himself as Schieffer and offers Barry to quit smuggling and work for the government. Our pilot at first laughs and hesitates, but then agrees. After the bar, the men go to a hangar, where Barry becomes the owner of a new personal airplane. Not just any plane, but the fastest twin-engine aircraft in the world. A logistics airline is also registered in his name. Quite a present. But it's not that simple, because the airplane has a camera. Barry's task is to fly over countries in Central America, where rebels are fighting against regimes supported by the United States, and film everything he sees. It is illegal. That's the catch. And it is also very dangerous. After a test flight in the super-fast plane, our pilot returns home and tells Lucy about his new job. Of course, he does not reveal what he will actually have to do. She is not happy because being an airline pilot paid well and provided full insurance. That same day, during pre-flight preparations, Barry quits his official job at the airline.
Barry?
You're gonna be all right, Jimmy.
Where are you going?
Now, he flies over Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, and films the locations of various military installations and guerrilla camps. By that time, there was a Cold War between the USA and the USSR, and the Soviet Union supported the communist rebels, so the United States was prepared to do anything to prevent a revolution. Barry flies so low over rebel camps that he is frequently targeted by gunfire. But this does not frighten our pilot, because thanks to it, he manages to obtain high-quality photographs. However, not everything goes perfectly. During another flight in El Salvador, Barry's plane is shot at and damaged. By a miracle, our pilot manages not to crash and flies away on one engine, getting as far as possible from the dangerous area. Now, everything is different. With this job, he even has time for his wife. The CIA is very pleased with his work, and Barry asks for a raise. Schieffer agrees and sends Barry to Panama. There, our pilot acts as a courier, delivering envelopes with various valuable information to a corrupt colonel, who in return provides information about the communists. A year passes like this, then a second, then a third. Barry has a daughter, then a son. He manages not only to perform his job successfully, but also to make breakfast for the children. The perfect father. One day while Barry is on the ground in Panama, a red car arrives and two unknown men take him away to a luxurious country mansion. The local drug lord offers Barry a deal. He can fly wherever he wants, but on the condition that he helps transport prohibited substances from Colombia to the United States. They all know about him and whom he works for, so refusal is not an option. There is a large amount of a white substance. The thing is, exporting such a cargo to the United States is extremely difficult and dangerous.
996.
The Colombians are ready to pay Barry $2,000 for every kilogram of the white powder. That is a lot of money, and our protagonist, of course, agrees. After all, he now has a family to feed. He meets his new employers. They are Jorge Ochoa, Carlos Lader, and Pablo Escobar. However, there is one small problem. All pilots kept crashing on their runway because it is too short. This is done deliberately so the Colombian army would not detect them. But Barry is very proud and self-confident. He is sure he can succeed where other pilots failed. Also, Barry refuses to fly his illegal cargo into the United States because he would be detected immediately. He proposes dropping the dangerous cargo in flight over Louisiana, and he also shows them a hidden compartment located on board. The men ponder, then agree, and immediately roll carts with their goods toward the plane. Barry straps the boxes to life jackets and places them on board. The Colombians bring more and more carts, and Barry begins to get nervous. He already has 300 kilograms of powder on board. If they take more, the plane simply will not take off. They also seat a guard on the plane who weighs as much as half the cargo. Barry gives the cartel a choice, either the cargo or the guard.
Push it, come on.
Need all the runway I can get.
Keep going. Keep going. See, got it?
Our hero takes maximum acceleration and prays to lift into the sky before the runway ends. Meanwhile, the Colombians bet that he will be the next pilot who fails to take off, but he manages to get airborne. On the approach to the U.S., he is noticed by radar, but the controllers classify his plane as an oil industry aircraft that has its own planes. The first flight goes successfully. Barry reaches Louisiana, descends, and drops the boxes with illegal cargo down below. Escobar's agents and his friend's agents are already waiting for them there. Pleased, the Colombians drink to the successful scam and hand Barry a bag stuffed with dollars. But at that moment, the mansion begins to be stormed by American military. Everyone is immediately arrested. However, the Colombians are soon free. But Barry is forgotten. He did not wait long for rescue. Schieffer visits Barry and tells him that everyone knows about the drugs and that the police will be at his house in the U.S. Schieffer helps Barry get out of prison. It turns out a revolution occurred in Nicaragua, and the communists came to power. U.S. President Barack Obama wanted to get rid of the communists using the military, but the government refused, so he turned to the CIA to start a war using local fighters called the Contras. Thus, Barry got a new job. But wait. First, our hero decides to move his family out of Louisiana. He goes home, finds his wife and children, and demands they pack immediately. They head to the small town of Mena in Arkansas. With Schieffer's help, Barry obtains a house there with broken plumbing, a huge plot of land, and a private airstrip. The CIA agent shows our hero crates of weapons. There are hundreds of Kalashnikov assault rifles. Barry's task is to deliver this weaponry to Nicaragua. Schieffer gives Barry a folder with flight maps and also the bag of money that Barry left in Colombia. Barry returns home and finds Lucy very upset. The woman attacks her husband with her fists. She is pregnant with their third child and is furious about the sudden move and the terrible living conditions in the new house. Then Barry confesses to his wife that he works for the CIA, throws several stacks of money on the floor, and thrusts the bag stuffed with dollars toward Lucy. Now, Barry is flying Kalashnikov rifles to Nicaragua so the Contras can fight the communists. In truth, these guys are more interested in sunglasses and boots than weapons, but CIA orders must be followed. To befriend these wild men, Barry delivers them various gifts, including alcohol. There, our hero meets his old friend, Jorge Ochoa, again. The man proposes a new scheme for illegal business to Barry, and our hero immediately agrees. So, our hero delivers part of the rifles to Colombia. Barry loads the illegal white powder there, and transfers it to the Contras training camps, and those guys then smuggle the illegal cargo into the United States by boat. Part of the product Barry drops into the Louisiana swamp using the old method. The scale of the illegal trade keeps growing, and Barry hires new employees. These pilots also transport weapons to Latin America and pick up the white powder. Our hero calls his assistants Birds of Happiness. But one day Schieffer visits Barry again. He announces that a training camp for the Contras is being built on Barry's land. Our hero's task is to bring the bravest guys from South America there. Barry agrees again and brings more and more Contras to Mena. However, many of them do not want to fight and immediately run away. After all, with Barry's help, it's easy to end up in the U.S. But what can you do? Some of them still manage to be trained in warfare and handling weapons. After some time, Barry goes to a bank to open an account, then buys his wife a fancy car, and later registers several shell companies under fake names. But he has so much money that he can't handle it anymore, It seems to be everywhere. His business keeps growing. Barry constantly transports either weapons or white powder. He introduces Lucy to his Colombian friends, parties hard, opens accounts in banks across the country, buries bags of cash in his backyard, and buys kilos of gold. This isn't a life, it's a dream. One day, Lucy's brother, J.B., shows up at their house. Barry gives him a job as a cleaner, but the sneaky guy soon finds a bag of money in the hangar, buys himself a car, and brings a girlfriend home. One day, Barry and his team are chased by DEA planes, which demand that our hero land immediately. Barry refuses and keeps flying over the ocean until the drug enforcement planes run out of fuel. One of Barry's pilots falls asleep at the controls, and Barry has to touch the wing of his plane to wake the poor guy up. Meanwhile, the FBI starts its investigation since there's suddenly too much money circulating in Mina, and they need to figure out who it belongs to, and why this tiny town has so many banks and luxury cars. Once again, Barry is chased by DEA planes. After the last incident, they got smarter and switched to planes just like his. Barry is forced to make a rough emergency landing right on the highway, climbs out covered in white powder, and trades a wad of cash to a local teenager for a bicycle. Thanks to this, Barry manages to escape. On board his plane, 200 kilograms of illegal substances are found. Schieffer is furious. Meanwhile, in Colombia, a real war begins, and Pablo Escobar's cartel is forced to shut down operations. He and his men move to Nicaragua. JB is caught by the police with a suitcase full of cash. Lucy begs Barry to save her brother, and Jorge promises to help him. Barry gets JB out of jail and orders him to leave the country immediately, but the guy is too stupid and stubborn. He argues and demands that Barry send him piles of money every week. Then JB gets into his car, starts the engine, and...
Money every week, asshole!
Barry realizes it was the Colombians who did it. He covers up the traces of the crime and returns home. The next day, Schieffer arrives in Mina, demanding Barry explain how the Contra's weapons ended up in Colombia, and declares that their cooperation is over. In his office, Schieffer orders his staff to destroy all documents linking the CIA to Barry's seal. Our hero also tries to get rid of all incriminating evidence, but doesn't have time. At the same time, the FBI, DEA, and state police all attempt to arrest him. Barry is threatened with a life sentence. Everyone is sure Barry will be arrested and imprisoned, but Barry himself is confident he'll be released soon. He offers each of the officers a brand new Cadillac, so they wouldn't be offended, and says he'll be walking out of there any minute. Everyone laughs, and at that moment, the phone rings. It's the governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton. He demands Barry be released.
You boys should have taken the caddies.
Our hero is taken straight to the White House. The authorities need proof that the communists in Nicaragua are involved in the drug trade. Barry must take part in a secret operation and obtain solid evidence. Our hero, together with another agent, flies to Nicaragua and meets with Escobar and his associates. At first, the Colombians don't trust Barry, and Jorge even mocks him. But later, they calm down and load dozens of boxes filled with white powder onto the plane. With the help of hidden cameras installed in the aircraft, Barry manages to take plenty of photos proving the Colombians' criminal activities. These photos soon appear on television. Escobar's cartel realizes that Barry has betrayed them and is determined to take revenge. The police arrive at his house, conduct a search, and seize everything, leaving the family without a single dollar. Lucy puts on her fur coat and jewelry so that the police can't confiscate them. The woman and the children move back to Louisiana, while Barry goes on trial. The man is sentenced to 1,000 hours of community service. Every night, Barry stays in a different hotel and records his story on camera. He labels each tape, puts them in a box, and keeps them in his car trunk at all times. He knows that at any moment, Escobar's men will come for him. Our hero can neither run nor hide, as he must serve his sentence working at a homeless shelter. One evening, Escobar's men finally find him. A gunshot rings out, and Barry Seal is killed. The police later find a box of videotapes in his car trunk. Lucy gets a job at a diner. On her wrist is a bracelet covered with diamonds.